Hi everybody, Mr. Seamed here again, talking baseball and only things baseball. That's what Mr. Seamed does, of course. Today I want to mention some players that may not be as familiar with. These are going to be some players from way back in the day. We're talking 1910s, 1920s. Got Buck Weaver. Most of you guys have heard of him and are a bit familiar with him, mostly from movies Eight Men Out and the Black Sox scandal of 1919. This show is going to be about these guys that I think careers ended or were never even really getting off on the right start here. In Buck Weaver's case, his career was ended because of the Sox scandal, the Black Sox scandal. However, he was not involved in it. He simply did not tell on his teammates that were doing it, which it's hard for me to believe that he would have been the only player that suspected this or knew of this that wasn't involved in it. George Daniel Weaver was his real name, went by Buck, or even Bucky to some. He was really starting to come into his own his last 2 years. I mean, there was a lot of home runs hit back then. It was the dead ball era still. The new ball had not quite come out yet. I think the new ball came out in 1920 or 1921. The tighter stitched ball, which went farther. But in his last two seasons, 1919 and 1920, because even though the scandal happened in 1919, the punishment wasn't handed down until after the 1920 season. But 1919, at age 28, he had 89 runs scored, 33 doubles, 9 triples, 75 RBIs, 22 stolen bases, and hit 296. Following year, 102 runs, 34 doubles, 8 triples, 74 RBIs, 19 stolen bases, while he hit 331. That was the end of his career, due to him not snitching on his teammates for taking money from gamblers. And again, I think that's hard to believe that he'd been the only one who knew of that. And he has a 270 career hitter, and he fought for reinstatement, even though obviously he was too old to play, up until his death in 1956, as well as his niece, Pat Anderson, who fought for his reinstatement up until her death in 2019 at the age of 92 years old. So that was Buck. That was Buck Weaver. Career cut short. In a sense, tragically. I mean, he didn't die, but still, it seemed like he got hosed. It seemed like that was a little unfair to him. Another guy I'd like to talk about was Joe Hauser, Unser Joe, as the locals like to call him. He played most of his career in minor leagues in Milwaukee. So they want us to take about how Crash Davis in the movie, played by Kevin Costner in the movie Bull Durham, was the all-time minor league home run leader at 257, I believe they said it was. It was a movie number, so I'm not going to remember that 100%, but I think that was right. Joe Hauser hit 399 career minor league home runs. He hit 80 in the majors. He had a knee injury, which, altered his swing. However, when he went down to the minors, he was still clubbing home runs. He was, until Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, he was the only player to ever hit 60 home runs in two different professional seasons. He was hitting 63 in 1930 and hitting 69 in 1933, with a batting averages of 313 and 332 respectable. So obviously the man could hit. There is a dispute on him and Ty Cobb, who is the manager of the Philadelphia Athletics, which was the team that he was affiliated with through the minor leagues. He did hit 80 major league home runs, so he was no slouch there. But according to Joe Hauser, Ty Cobb didn't like the way he swung and was trying to change his swing. And that doesn't sound outrageous, knowing how much of a fierce competitor and how stubborn and how righteous Ty Cobb could be at times in his life. So having said that, doesn't come as a shock. But yeah, that was a guy who never really got going. And at times when there was only 16 major league teams, it wasn't as wide open. There wasn't as many opportunities, and there was no DH back then. So maybe his defense would have held him back. I didn't have a lot of information on his defense. I didn't see a lot of negative or a lot of positive either way on Joe Hauser. But that's a guy I'm sure most of you hadn't heard of, Joe Hauser right there. One other one I want to mention before we wrap the show up here is a man that I honestly didn't even know much about. They call him the minor league Babe Ruth. His name was Russell Loris Artlett, otherwise known as Buzz Artlett. He hit 433 major league home runs, which was the record until Mike Hessman broke it. He was a switch hitter, or what they called at the time a turnaround hitter. He's considered maybe the first real big time switch hitting power hitter. He only hit 18 or 19 career home runs in the major leagues. I do have it here, sorry. I usually don't look at the notes too much. But again, this is a guy I didn't know a lot about. Yes, so yeah, he hit 19 home runs, and he played 1931 was his only MLB season. But he had 12 straight minor league seasons, with at least 101 RBIs, a 319 average, and he had 11 straight minor league seasons in that same stretch with 25 plus home runs. He's a 341 career minor league hitter, and that's pretty impressive. He also won 108 minor league games as a pitcher while posting a 3.42 ERA. So he wasn't as dominant. He lost 93 games, so he wasn't as dominant as a pitcher as Babe Ruth was in his time, and obviously at their time, and obviously not in the major leagues. They wanted to blame his fielding. They said he was a horrible fielder. They said he was 50 pounds overweight at 32 when he came into the major leagues. But the man stole 20 bases the next year in the minor leagues. So it's hard for me to believe he was too out of shape, because obviously he could still run. But again, this is time when there's no DH. He played from 1918 to 1937. His only major league year was 1931. I think I said 1932 earlier, excuse me. But yeah, he's a 925 MLB career OPS. That was his OPS in the majors, was 925. It's very impressive there. But his minor league career was 341 batting average, 433 home runs, 1,786 RBIs. This guy obviously was a big time hitter. Obviously did hit in that little time that he played in the major leagues. I thought I have that here. That's what I did. Yeah, there we go. 18 homers, 72 RBIs, 313 average in the major leagues. Thanks, Apollo. So again, that was 1931. He had 18 homers, 72 RBIs, and a 313 batting average. That is his MLB career, and then I just told you the MILB career there. So, and if in case you were wondering, Mike Hessman hit 437 minor league home runs. So, sorry for looking at the notes on that. Usually that's something I don't even need to do. But again, Buzz Artlett was somebody new to me, so I wanted to share a little bit about him. If I'm learning something new, let's all learn something new about the game together. It's great. And if there's anything you guys want to ever point out to me, I'm always looking for any constructive criticism. I appreciate your time, and this is Mr. Seamhead signing off till next time. Thank you.